I am pretty sure we are live. Yes, we are live. Hello, everyone. Lori Swanson here for the weekly Career Alchemy live broadcast. Um, Coming to you with interesting thoughts, activities, um, steps you can take in your career and lives that can um, make a real difference in uh, how you feel, the relationships that you have, um, your pocketbook, all sorts of things. And today is a good one, if I do say so myself, because we're going to talk about the 8 ways to find alignment in your current work situation, um, even though you do not feel aligned. You can't leave yet, but you want to bring more alignment into where you're at. So this such a the reason for this particular conversation today came out of Career Alchemy Academy, which is my membership community. There's a QR code over my shoulder, and you can join today and be part of this magic. But every month we have a touchstone, and last month, October, our touchstone was alignment. So we spent, and when we have this touchstone, we spend time just really doing a deep dive into what is, in this case, what does it mean to feel aligned? What does it mean when my actions are aligned with the things that are important to me? How do we know if we're misaligned, right? And we know when we're kind of, oh, really misaligned. Like we might not miss all those signs, but there are subtle signs that happen way before full misalignment, that you can start to tune into. You can start to become more aware of how your expanded self, um, and your body, the somatic know-how and knowledge, that is connected to this divine line in the expanded universe, as I believe, but that we aren't just this physical being, right? But that we have so much additional support available to us. And so we can tune into that and catch on more quickly when a relationship is misaligned, when a project at work is misaligned, when on an interview you feel misaligned with someone you're interviewing with or the culture of the company. Like we don't ignore those anymore. When you're an alchemist, you pay attention to that, right? So we do deep dive into these touchstones, and with alignment, we were really looking at where we are currently aligned at work, what we're doing, the people that have us feeling the most aligned. And you can apply this also to a job search, like what actions in a job search do you feel aligned with? Do more of those, right? And which ones feel misaligned? And then, tuning into that and understanding, because sometimes a misalignment can feel, we can tell ourselves, oh, I'm misaligned, I shouldn't be doing that, especially in a job search. But in fact, it just might be pushing against your growth edge. It might be the misalignment is only because you aren't really stepping into it and fully embracing this thing that's challenging you. So all these little layers to alignment and misalignment. But when we think about it from an alchemist perspective, when we think about alignment is when there's congruence, when things are congruent, when your values and the things that matter to you most are aligned and congruent with your purpose, with the purpose of the company you work for, the work you're doing. And with alignment, our thoughts and how we're feeling and the actions we're taking are all led sort of by this inner authority and wisdom. And when we are 100%, or let's say 95% aligned with our authentic selves, then in all areas of our career and in life, um, you know, then we have congruence. Then it just feels like everything's clicking on all cylinders. Even when life happens, we are like, oh, okay, now I have to call the internet company again because this, that, and whatnot, or I have to do this. Yeah, we've got stuff like that'll happen. Those aren't misalignments. Those are just part of, living in the physical world. Um, but when we know we're aligned, right, then, all those other things don't throw us off our game, don't cause us to, our stress to rise or burnout to happen, right? So in this, so we're talking about all of this inside of Career Alchemy Academy, and one of the alchemists, uh, you know, raises her hand, comes on to the Zoom call and says, what if you know you're out of alignment with the work and company that you work for, but you can't leave yet? And I'm like, oh, that's a good conversation. And that led to me talking to you all about this today. What a great question, right? What to do when you're misaligned at work, and you can't leave. So, given everything that's happening in the world right now, how difficult it is to be on a job search or even considering leaving a job, given the circumstances of job searches right now, isn't the first experience I've had like this, but it's one of those. I don't know, every 10 years, every 8 years, whatever it is, that makes it more challenging for the job seeker. And so wouldn't be a surprise to me that this is your reality right now, that you are in a job that you really do not feel fully aligned with. It could be because you're approaching retirement and you're like, 3 more years, just 3 more years. So you're out of alignment, but you also know you're choosing to stay, right? And that's really what we're talking about here, is you are choosing to stay. It is your choice to stay for whatever the reason. And we want to embrace that choice. And then I'm going to give you 8 ways to get more alignment without, in that choice, right? So maybe it's because you're approaching retirement. Maybe it's because there's a project that you're leading or that you've been a part of, that you feel your integrity and just your desire to complete the project is really high, and so you're choosing to stay to the end of the project. Yet, that there's lots of other things that are not aligned with who you are, your values, what matters most to you, but you're going to choose to stay for now. You might be also in the process of buying a house. I remember when we were going to buy our condo, and my husband was thinking about changing jobs, and they're like, just stay put right now. Just stay put until we get all that paperwork done. So he chose to stay misaligned until we got through that, right? Or maybe there's a buyout at work. There's a merger, there's these acquisitions, this is happening, and you might be receiving some buyout money. Who knows what might happen? You might be actually, maybe that ultimately there probably isn't going to be a lot of opportunity after the buyout for you, but you also know that there may be some severance coming, and you choose to stay for that. Or maybe there's a medical condition right now that is requiring you, like, for instance, I remember someone telling me that they had an operation at the beginning of the year that used up all their deductible, right? So they had paid all the deductible, and they're like, you know what? I'm just going to stay put this year and get a whole bunch of other things done because my deductible's already paid, and take advantage of that, and then leave after the first of the year. Or maybe your child's graduating from college and you're like, I don't want to shake anything up until, they're in their last year. I just want to stay through that and then think about another change, right? So all of these factors, beyond simply, I'm misaligned and I just don't want to do a job search. I mean, there's truth to that, because no one loves doing a job search, but that's not exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about other factors where you really, for very practical and, financial and makes sense reasons, you're choosing to stay for a period of time, a little bit longer. So you're feeling misaligned, yet you're choosing to stay put, right? So what do you do? So I want to give you 8 ways to find alignment, even though in your current work, even though you're choosing, or because you're choosing not to leave, right? So number one is what I call, I want to give you a thought, if you've been following me, that I think probably the most powerful skill we can embrace, the most powerful belief that we can choose is that we actually do have agency over how we're thinking and feeling. And that these sentences that come into our head, these thoughts that float in, that your fearful brain offers to you, do not have to be believed. That you can actually decide, oh, that's an interesting thought, but it doesn't really serve me very well, so I'm choosing another one. So in each of these 8 things, I'm going to give you a thought that you might consider, and then an action. So the first one is what I call shifting from stuck to strategic. So the thought is that I'm not trapped, but I'm in a transition period right now with purpose. So it's a transition period with purpose. And so when you're thinking about being strategic about the choice that you're making, you reframe your current job from, like I like to think about it as this current job, this salary that I'm getting, they're investing in me. They're investing in my future. They can be my training ground. So I'm going to choose to take classes right now. I'm going to choose to sock away some money, extra money right now. More strategic, I'm staying, but I'm going to look at this strategically, that I'm not trapped, but this is, a transition period with purpose where the company is investing in me, in my education, in my savings account. Number 2 is rediscovering what you do love and then doing more of that. So the thought that I want you to think about is, even though I'm not loving work right now, there are things that do light me up. So let's sort of audit your day, right? Or your week, and find those things that you're like, that was fun. I really enjoyed talking to that person. When I'm doing this during my day, I feel more energized. Find those things and really, like I said, audit them. Like, why is it? Is it the person? Is it the time of day? Is it the actual work? And then see what you can do to create more of that. Maybe it's mentoring others. Maybe it's finding other puzzles to solve at work, getting yourself, even as shadowing on a project in an area so it's sort of the training ground plus doing more of what you love. Like if you've got a main project, but you can somehow shadow on another project, maybe you're doing that. Finding ways to organize chaos because that's something you really love. And how can you bring that into the project you're on, the team that you're on? So volunteering for related projects, proposing small changes, and even in those moments that you are already doing things that you love, savoring that. So paying attention and being like, oh, look at me doing something I love right now in this job where I'm at. Number 3 is finding control in the micro. So I love this one. So the thought is that I can't control the company culture. I can't necessarily control my boss or, the team, the marketplace, but I can control my energy, my reactions, and I have some control over my environment, right? So for example, you want to redesign, when I'm talking about the micro, redesign what's in your reach. For example, maybe you ask to change offices with someone. I remember when I was recruiting, when I owned my own recruiting firm, it was a practice that I had that I got from when I was working for a recruiting firm, which was we had, all our desks were set up. We didn't have offices, we had cubes, but all of them were set up in certain ways. And every once in a while, the boss would just come in and say, okay, everyone, we're moving desks. So we're moving things so it just looks different layout in the room, or we're going to have you people all switch desks and you decide where, and there's just something about changing up that environment a little bit that can make a difference. Or bring in a plant, or if you can paint a wall or hang up a picture that I have a great picture on my wall by Kevin Luthart, who's a Chicago artist, and he's a author too of children's books. And it's this wonderful, I wish I could show it to you. I'm looking at it right now. Wonderful man, like kind of, it's sort of cartoony that, like children's book-y looking, but he's carrying a bucket and a mop. And it always reminds me of the quote from Martin Luther King, where he talks about, if you're a street sweeper, then just be the best street sweeper you can be, right? So I love looking at that. That just brings a smile to my face and reminds me that, whatever I'm doing today, if it's, today I'm wearing my accounting hat, or today I'm wearing my marketing hat, or whatever hat I'm wearing right now, I'm just going to wear that hat with style. I'm just going to be the best I can be. So finding a way, so having a picture or a reminder like that, maybe there's a way you can shift your schedule. The stuff you used to do in the morning, now you do in the afternoon. That micro shift can just re-energize and, infuse your workday in a different way. Maybe you're batching the unpleasant tasks. Maybe you're adding music, for some of the day. I'm not someone who can, when I'm focused, I cannot have external noise. Like my husband listens to music. I don't get it. But there are breaks where I can get up and have a little dance break, do those things, little micro things that bring a smile to your face. Number 4, make work a game. Seriously. So the thought that I want you to capture is that a playful approach disrupts my frustration, re-engages my brain. So again, if you know me, I love games of all sorts. And so when I think about gamifying my day, I'm like, oh yeah, how do we do that? What can I do? So giving yourself sort of a daily or weekly quest. Maybe it's the quest of reconnecting, writing thank you notes to people, or maybe it's the declutter my desk quest, or streamlining this process, or challenging myself to do something faster, equally as well, if not better, but in a faster time. If you happen to lean into procrastination a little bit, this idea of finding playful ways to just do things faster might be a really good way to gamify your day. So track, and then because it's a game, right? Don't forget, you get to you're going to be winning things along the way. So maybe it's celebrating that you did something a little bit different, that you completed a quest, and you're taking yourself out for a fancy coffee, or just thinking about how to make a game out of things. Number 5 is connecting and reconnecting. So the thought to choose is that people can help me feel better about where I am right now. Isn't that the truth? People can make a difference in how we feel about our day. I know there's people in your office that really you connect with, that that just make you smile, make you laugh. So start coordinating more lunches with them, or mini walks with them, something like that, or reconnecting with some old colleagues from your past that that you haven't checked in with in a while. And just those conversations can help you to feel better. This reaching out to people. And it isn't about complaining about, like, I would literally say that's like off limits. Like, you cannot complain about your situation. We're trying to, create more joy in this choice that you've made. So going down the rabbit hole of gossip or complaining is not it. That is not it. So I would say that is completely off limits. You're only going to talk about the things when they ask you, well, how's work going? You can say, well, I'm choosing to stay for a while longer, and here's some of the fun things I'm doing right now, right? So reconnect with these people, bringing just your good energy. You don't even realize that through that, what you may be doing for them, because maybe they haven't quite, maybe they're not quite listening to me on LinkedIn yet. So share this with them, have them get my inspirations in their inbox, which go to my website under resources. You can sign up for my blog. Have them join Career, tell them about Career Alchemy Academy. Like, you just don't know the impact you might be having on someone else who's feeling they haven't quite gotten to, oh, I'm choosing this and I can make this choice make it right? Make it the right choice. That was a piece of advice, and I've talked about it, but it's been a long time. One of my friends, and also someone that I helped find, she was in a full-time consulting role and really wanted to get into a part-time role. This was still as difficult. She was a woman, she had a child, she had reasons where she really wanted to be in part-time role, and we found it. And she ended up retiring from there too, from that role. But there was a point where she was telling me about some advice she had gotten from her rabbi about her current role that fits right in line with this. And her rabbi had said to her, look, you make a choice and then you make it the right choice. So again, you're not here in handcuffs. Like, in some way, it may feel like it, but in some way, this choice is what you're choosing right now. So make it the right choice. And that's what we're talking about in different ways to do that. So connecting and reconnecting, connect with new people, go to some networking events, get outside of yourself, think about maybe even creating something, some sort of a small ERG at your work, or BRG, whatever your company calls them. And if they don't even have them, create the first one, like Women in Tech, or the Innovation Discussion Lab, or creativity plan, or the wellness walkers. I love alliteration. So, create something like that at work. Just say, hey, I'm going to be walking every day from 12 to 12:30. Anyone who wants to join me. And off you go. And who knows who you're going to meet, and who knows what that connection they may become your next boss, introduce you to your next boss, help you to become your own boss, which is something I love to do and support. But you will be able to create a greater sense of belonging in your current role just by connecting with other people, whether inside your organization, outside your organization. Number 6, upgrade your self-care like it's a job skill. So I always talk about self-care actually being our most important tool that we have in our toolkit, right? That if we can make that the priority over everything, we can change everything. So the thought you might want to choose is, I can't outwork burnout, but I can outcare it, or whatever it is. I can't outwork X, but I can outcare it. So prioritize movement, prioritize rest, prioritize nutrition, prioritize connecting with others, prioritize, Career Alchemy Academy and coming to our every Tuesday calls. Prioritize joy and replace numbing habits like doom scrolling and stress eating and gossip again and commiserating. Replace all of those with self-care. So you're going to outcare all those things and build up. They're not luxuries, right? But this is essential. These different things, the deep breathing, the journaling, the walking and movement, like I said. Reconnect with your spiritual center. That's something that, we bring into Career Alchemy Academy because, I would say of all the misalignments, that's the one, that your true nature, your spiritual guidance system that's both that communicates through the inside out, but that's coming from expanded consciousness, that if you aren't making that a priority, making that a self-care practice through meditation, oracle cards, we draw oracle cards inside of, and sometimes it's like, I don't know if it's true, but I can believe, just like we can think this thought or that thought, we can believe this or that. I just decided that this one, the belief that there is um, support beyond the physical world for me, the belief that it's communicating with me in a whole bunch of different ways through synchronicities and oracle cards and music on the radio and inner voice, just believing that brings me peace. So why wouldn't I choose that? And so let's just do that and make that the number one self-care tool that you use to outcare um, burnout or whatever it is. You might not, you can't outwork any of those things, but you can outcare it. Number 7, we're almost there, right? Number 7 is, no surprise, managing your mind, doing thought work, rewiring the narrative. Okay, so the mindset that you need to have, the thought that you might choose is you're going to take I'm stuck here to becomes I'm choosing to stay here right now, and this choice has power. I can empower myself in this choice. I can make this choice the best and right choice for me right now. I've already am choosing it, but now I'm going to choose it deliberately, and I'm going to get the most I can. I'm going to be fully aligned with this choice using the things that I've been talking about and really managing your thoughts around it. When a thought that has you feeling burnt out, tired, disengaged, just know if you're feeling that, there's a thought there, and figure out what that thought is that's creating this feeling of low energy, and find a new one, right? So the action might be to write down your current circumstance. So I'm staying because circumstance is the truth, right? When we talk about doing what I call a mindset model, and what we do inside of Career Alchemy Academy, when we work on mindset and thought work, and you have a practice and a process that you can use for this, and you learn that. But simply, the circumstances is you're choosing to stay in this job. And instead of feeling brought down by that, you're going to, because your current thought is, I'm stuck here, and that has me feeling miserable and low energy, right? We're going to get a new thought that might be, I'm choosing to stay in my job right now until retirement, until the buyout, until my kid graduates, until I get through this deductible year, whatever it is. I'm choosing to do that, and this is my growth lab. This is where I'm learning to practice patience and strategy. This is where I'm learning to find peace in every moment. This is where I'm aligning myself with the joyful things and the energizing things and the engaging things. This is where I'm building and rebuilding and reconnecting with people. And this is where I'm trying out new fun things, like creating a walking club for the office, and getting outside of my comfort zone, because soon I'll be leaving here. So I'm just going to use this as my laboratory of, kind of pushing against imposter syndrome, not holding yourself back anymore, and just being like, I know I'm leaving. They might not know it, but I know I'm leaving. So now I'm going to do some things, and I'm talking about things that actually add value to you, and probably also add value to the company. Raising your hand, offering an idea, doing things that scare you. So that's number 7, rewiring that narrative and choosing new thoughts that create different actions. And then finally, because your thoughts do create your experience, right? So finally, number 8 is preparing for what's next, but not rushing it. So I do think about, you're choosing to stay here, but maybe it's retirement. And what do you need to do to prepare for retirement? Making sure you have all your ducks in a row. But it also might mean, and I'm not talking about just financially, but maybe it's like, what am I going to do? So am I, creating a strategy? Like, I'm going to take the first 6 months and I'm just going to do house projects that have been sitting there, and I'm going to connect with girlfriends some more, and I'm going to get back into get into a health club and join a pickleball league and some of that stuff. And then maybe there's also work stuff. Maybe there's ways that you want to get back, use what you've built in your career. And so creating a strategic plan around that. Not necessary to have specific dates and timelines, but just getting doing that vision board of post-retirement. But also, if it's not retirement, maybe you're getting your resume in a good order, your LinkedIn profile, you're warming up that network, you're building a skill of some sort. Again, on the company dime that you're with right now, even better. Or you're just following some interests like AI and, just some other technology things or industry things that are happening. So you're just starting to do some of that. That's that number 8. Just prepare for what's next with a low lift, not a ton of external stuff happening any more than you want to, but it does when you are like, look at me, I spent, a couple hours a month just doing some of this prep work for what's next. Gives energy to where you're at today. So that is the LinkedIn Live for today. You may be choosing to stay in your current circumstances right now, but you must also choose how you're going to think and feel about them. Find the actions that energize, that add value and add value to your, sexy bullet points to the resume and LinkedIn, but also just add value to your life, creating more relationships, perhaps. Alignment isn't about everything being perfect. It's about staying true to yourself. It's about, the choices that you're making right now are setting the stage for what's next. Even in this imperfect season, you get to decide how you're going to think, how you're going to feel, and how you're going to act. And let's gamify the whole thing. Let's up-level our self-care. Let's reconnect and create new relationships and try fun things. All of those things I talked about, just listen to the recording and have create alignment, because alignment it's like tires in a car. If your tires are pulling on your car, then things are out of alignment. What is that? The drive shaft? Like things are out of alignment. And so it's just so much harder to live like that, constantly pulling it back into alignment. Instead, let's just find alignment. Let's just decide we're going to be aligned wherever we are today. So that's it. Peace to all of you. As usual, join Career Alchemy Academy. Let's keep going. Let's create alignment in our lives, in our careers, in the world. Let's bring us all back into flow, having more fun, outcaring the outworking. Can't outwork it, but let's outcare the burnout and the disconnection and have fun while we're doing it. Talk to you all soon. Next week, same place, same